Howdy tubes, welcome back to the Zach Life. So if you watched the previous episode, you're going to know what we're fixing to start. If you didn't, I'm fixing to start building a trailer. I got my toter home I'm building, and my plan is to be able to haul my rock crawler and either Suburban or a pickup or something like that. I don't have enough room. I didn't want to stack them, and so I got another idea. Anyway, as I kind of talked about previously, this is a super budget build as far as trying to use stuff I've already got. I'm not going to try to spend much money. And a lot of this metal I got was bought at auctions in times past, and it's laid out, you know, in the yard and rusted. And so a lot of this stuff is not exactly 100% up to par, materials. But that's what I got, and that's what I want to use. Anyway, the first thing I got to do is just start cutting stuff up. I got some stuff drawn in the CAD program we kind of talked about last time. And anyway, I'm just going to go out there and start cutting this beam up, dragging it in here. And it's kind of late today. I don't know how much we'll get done, but at least going to get a start on it. So next, this piece goes on that piece. I can't figure out which way to point looking in the camera. That piece goes on this piece. This next weld is a lot more crucial. It's going to be under a lot higher mechanical stress. So I'm going to bevel all this thing out, and I guess I'm still going to weld the hard wire. That's not my preferred method. I'd rather string it with 6010 and weld it with 7018. But I believe it will probably be okay. Probably just put a bunch of weld on it and make it real ugly. I'm gonna clean this up really good, bevel it all out, probably put a maybe at least 1/8 of an inch, maybe 3/16 gap. You know, I'm sure my cuts aren't ultra perfect, and so we'll have a gap to fill basically when we weld it. One thing that I always kind of find interesting is you draw something out, you plan in your head what it's going to look like, and then you start building it. And it's often either a lot bigger or a lot smaller than sort of how you'd envisioned it. Obviously I've measured everything will fit on here like I want it to, but in my head this is going to be a lot longer. It's kind of hard to imagine. Of course the rock crawler is going to be off the front of this, but whatever. I got another one of these to make. It's exactly the same. No use in videoing it twice. I'll catch you when I got that done. Next thing I got to do is put some uprights on. They're the where the axle pivot thing is going to attach. We'll grind them up, weld them on there. Golly, it's heavy. I'm trying to figure out how to get this piece on that side. By George, I think I got it. Golly. I'm gonna see if I can finish welding this up here real quick. Get a clamp it together. And then I'm gonna stand it up and put that piece here. The trailer will be upside down. Then we'll go from there. Next thing, I got a piece of 5-inch channel. I'm gonna land those notches I cut back there, and then try to get this thing, the frame rail spaced correctly, and get it sort of square and oriented the way I want it. Maybe put a couple of cross braces in it temporarily, just to sort of hold it squared up. So the next thing I've got to do is square this thing up. I can tell it's out of square. I've only welded, you know, the uprights, like, you know, the inside here on all these. That piece of beam, the channel iron on the front, so that this thing can be pulled in or out of square. There's really nothing here to keep it in square, and that's one of the reasons I've been not worried about getting it squared. But I'm going to square it before I weld the rest of this stuff out. And it probably won't stay, but after I get it flipped over and sort of put a floor in it, that floor will pull it back straight, and put a floor in it, that floor will hold it all straight. Off quite a bit there. It's probably nothing going to be perfect. Well, that's pretty close. That's right on. I'm going to get in here and weld all this stuff out. Let's do it. So this piece of pipe here is going to be for the frame, or what would you call it, the mechanism that attaches to the rock crawler pivots. This is going to be the structure that holds it, and then these two pieces are going to be the hinge, if you would, where it actually pivots. This is 4.5 OD pipe. It's nominal 4-inch, schedule 80. I'm not sure what the ID is, probably 3 7/8 or something. These are some kind of a junk heavy wall pipe that I got from a buddy of mine and cut up. I bored the inside of it out. Of course, one side's torched. I machined a flat surface on one side. When this thing is put together, it'll have a sort of a flange here that'll be welded on later that locates these from being able to go out any farther. And let's have one on each side. Of course, they'll be hooked together. And that'll keep it centered. I bored these out. They've got about 25 thousandths clearance between the inside of these and the 4.5 pipe. In hindsight, that probably ought to be a little bit more. When you weld on something on the outside of it, a piece of heavy wall like that, it'll actually shrink because you're putting down a liquid metal, and as the metal cools and solidifies, it draws up and it will actually compress it. Hopefully it won't compress it to the point that it locks up, but in hindsight I probably should have made it 50 thousandths clearance. Anyway, this piece has got to set 9 inches off of here, and actually hangs down 2 1/4 inches under the bottom. Remember, this is all upside down. And so I have torched out these piece of 1/2-inch plate, and they'll be welded on here, and then the pipe will sit sort of oblong in here. Alright, the center of these have got to be about 9 inches. Try that again. So I've got 2 of these pipe jacks. I don't know where the other ones went. I've looked. It's probably sitting out there. Y'all are going to point it out and say, oh, it's right there in the corner, you idiot. Anyway, this as low as it goes. I hope it's short enough. This is going to be kind of heavy when I get both of these doohickeys on it. Oh. The top of this needs to be about 2 1/8, 2 1/8, 2 1/4 above this flange. And this needs to be 9 inches less half of this, which would be 9, 8, 7, 6 3/4. See if I can get a big ugly tack here somewhere. Well, that didn't really work. Well, that actually looks about right. I end up with a little bit bigger gap here than I wanted. See if we can fix that. Now the only reason here that I'm going from 8-inch channel to 6-inch channel is that I bought a single piece 8-inch channel for $290 or whatever it was. Is ridiculous, and it wasn't going to be enough material. I needed 8-inch channel farther back because it's under higher stress, but up here by the tongue 6 inches strong enough, and I had a piece of it, so instead of buying a whole piece of 8-inch to scab a piece on, I just scabbed a piece of 6-inch on it. It looks kind of dumb, but it should work. I'm welding on the pintle hitch eye there too. I'm not sure what kind of steel that is. It is steel. I can tell by putting a drill bit on it. But I kind of did some tests on it. It got hard when I welded it, but it didn't seem to be brittle. I think that it'll probably work. That's probably not DOT approved, but I think it'll be pretty strong. So before y'all give me heck, I don't know why I didn't have a pair of glasses on. I did a bunch of cutting here and for some reason didn't wear them. I don't know if I couldn't find them or what. But anyway, this big old piece of heavy wall tubing is going to be the hinge that mounts the axle. This will make more sense in a minute. But one thing I wanted with this trailer was for the axle to not be able to articulate. I wanted it to be able to go up and down, to have suspension, but not to be able to have any body roll. And the reason being is this crawler is going to be stood up. It's going to be, relatively speaking, it's going to be top heavy and easy to roll over. And I wanted as much weight as possible on the axle, as little on the tongue to give it stability. And then I didn't want just an air suspension or a spring, like a leaf spring on the axle, because it would allow the trailer to sway, or whatever you would call it there. And anyway, the hinge system, which you'll see all put together in a minute that makes sense, will eliminate the axle articulation. So these plastic bushings that I made is actually made out of a bearing plastic. This is a common material. Turned it down on a lathe. I didn't want to make this video about machining. It's about a trailer. We can go over that some other time. The video is going to be long anyway. These plates that I've got on the end here that I'm going to weld on, I slid the 5.5 through and then put the 1-inch thick plates on. These plates were made for a different project that didn't get used. They're obviously overkill, but they will rub against that plastic and keep the axle located left and right, keep it from being able to move around. Well, I had an oops. Or my harbor freight warranty will cover that. It might. They always say if you drop it or whatever, run over the forklift. Anyway, this is all for this video. Appreciate you watching. I'm gonna take you up here and walk around and kind of show you what's next. But I'm out of time. Got to get your video out. Appreciate you watching. Like, share, subscribe, all the good things, and I'll catch you on the next one. So what's coming up next? I got to get the bolts to bolt the axle down, make the airbag perches, if that's the right word. The sort of more in-depth thing I got to do, which I think might be turn out kind of neat, is I've got to take all these brakes apart and turn this a different direction, maybe straight out or something. I'm not exactly sure. because it's going to hit the frame, and we can't have that.